Hello world, and welcome to Quiet Defaults. Today, we're talking about a feeling many people carry quietly. A sense that financial stability, even when you're doing everything right, feels harder to reach than it once did. Not because you're reckless, not because you lack discipline, but because the environment has changed. This episode isn't about blame. It's about context. And once context becomes clear, calmer decisions tend to follow. The illusion that something is wrong with us. When stability feels elusive, most people turn inward. They assume the problem is personal. They try harder. They optimize more. They become stricter with themselves. And yet, the pressure remains. That's because the difficulty isn't internal. It's structural. Life didn't suddenly get harder. It got more fragile. When proportionality still existed. A few decades ago, most financial lives were roughly proportional. Income, lifestyle, and expectations tended to move together. People compared themselves locally. Aspirations were shaped by what was visible nearby. Expenses rose slowly. Careers unfolded gradually. Stability was reinforced by institutions' long-term employment, pensions, predictable costs. Life wasn't easy, but it was legible. The rules were clearer. The margins were wider. The pace was slower. The break, visibility without capacity. Today, proportionality has collapsed. You are exposed constantly to lifestyles funded by capital far beyond your own. Not just higher income, but inheritance, leverage, networks, location advantages, and attention itself. You are no longer comparing horizontally. You are comparing upward continuously. And the mind does not process that neutrally. It registers it as falling behind. Even when nothing is objectively wrong, capitalism didn't just raise prices, it raised expectations. Modern costs are no longer just functional. They are symbolic. You don't just pay for shelter. You pay for identity. You don't just pay for transportation. You pay for convenience, access, and belonging. You don't just spend to live. You spend to participate. As more of life became commodified, expectations rose faster than income. This creates a quiet mismatch. What feels necessary now exceeds what feels comfortable. And that tension shows up as stress, not insolvency. Fixed costs expanded. Buffers shrunk. Slack disappeared. Modern life has more non-optional expenses than ever before. Housing, connectivity, healthcare, education, insurance, subscriptions disguised as infrastructure. These costs are sticky. They don't adjust easily when income does. At the same time, efficiency culture optimized away slack. Emergency buffers shrank. Leverage normalized. Future income became spendable today. This works until it doesn't. And when it doesn't, people don't feel unstable. They feel trapped. What exposure actually means? This is where the problem sharpens. When we say the issue isn't effort, it's exposure. We mean this. Exposure is living in a system where small disruptions have outsized consequences. Where one missed paycheck, one medical expense, one rate increase, or one job transition forces immediate trade-offs. Stability feels fragile, not because people are careless, but because there is very little slack left in the system. A life that only works when nothing goes wrong is not stable. It's conditional. Speed changed the experience of risk. Another quiet shift is speed. News travels instantly. Markets react immediately. Trends rise and collapse quickly. Careers destabilize faster. There is less time to adjust, less time to recover, less time to recalibrate expectations. Systems that require constant attention feel unstable, not because they're failing, but because they were never designed for rest. Why old advice feels insufficient? This is why traditional advice often feels hollow. Work harder. Be disciplined. Stick to the plan. That advice assumed predictable income, slow change, limited comparison, manageable fixed costs. Those assumptions no longer hold. The problem isn't effort, it's exposure. People aren't failing more. They're absorbing more risk than they realize. Optimization vs buffers, a quiet contrast. Optimization asks, how do I get the most out of this? Buffers ask, what happens if this goes wrong? Modern life rewards optimization in good times and punishes it in bad ones. A system optimized for maximum efficiency has no room to absorb shock. A buffered system may look slower, but it survives interruption. And survival, quietly, compounds. What stability requires now? Modern stability isn't about perfection. It's about design. It comes from buffers instead of bravado, flexibility instead of optimization, optionality instead of certainty. Resilient systems do not assume everything will go right. They assume something eventually won't. That single assumption changes everything. A quiet reframe. When people understand this shift, something important happens. They stop blaming themselves. They stop chasing lives built on different capital structures. They begin designing around their own reality. Stability becomes less performative and more personal, not smaller, more honest. What this means practically, this doesn't require withdrawing from modern life. It requires boundaries within it. It means questioning which costs are truly fixed, designing spending that can contract without pain, building buffers before ambition, resisting comparison that ignores context, valuing calm over constant expansion. These are not sacrifices. They are protections. Closing reflection. Financial stability didn't disappear. It became conditional. Those who recognize this stop chasing certainty and start building systems that hold. The problem isn't effort, it's exposure. And exposure can be designed against. Thank you for spending this time with Quiet Defaults. Stay safe, align with your inner calm, and build a life that doesn't require everything to go right. Until we meet again.